She sat at the corner table of the crowded restaurant, her fingers trembling around the edge of her glass. Every few seconds, her eyes darted to the glowing red exit sign above the door. To anyone else, she might have looked nervous about a first date, or maybe just shy. But to Daniel Carter, the man sitting 3 tables away with his 8-year-old daughter, it was obvious, this young woman wasn't waiting for someone, she was trying to find a way out. And Daniel, he couldn't ignore it. Before I tell you how he got involved in her life that night, let me ask you this: if you believe kindness can change someone's life, give this video a like right now, and don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Stories. What you're about to hear will stay with you for a long time. The clink of silverware and the hum of conversations filled the air. Daniel was only there because his daughter, Emily, had begged for a fancy dinner after her school play. He had been planning to just grab burgers on the way home, but he couldn't say no to her. They'd been seated near the wall, far from the bustle near the bar area, except Daniel's attention kept drifting to the young woman across the room. She wore a pale blue dress that looked slightly too big for her. Her hair was neat, but strands kept falling loose, and she didn't bother to fix them. She kept glancing at her phone, but not scrolling, just lighting up the screen, as if expecting a message. Every time a man in a dark jacket at the bar turned his head, her shoulders stiffened. And then her eyes went right back to the exit. Daniel had seen this before, not exactly this situation, but something close. In his years before becoming a full-time single dad, he'd worked in security. He knew the look of someone trapped. She wasn't relaxed, she wasn't enjoying herself, she was calculating something. The waitress came by to refill their drinks, and Daniel lowered his voice. "Hey, that young woman over there in the blue dress, has she been here long?" he asked casually. The waitress glanced. "She came in with that guy at the bar. They ordered drinks, but she hasn't touched hers much." Daniel's stomach tightened. He didn't want to assume the worst, but something about the man's watchful glances screamed control. Emily was happily coloring on the kids' menu, oblivious. Daniel tried to focus on her, but his mind kept circling back. Then he noticed, the man got up, walked toward the restroom, but before going in, he spoke to the bartender, pointing subtly toward the girl. The bartender nodded. Whatever this was, she wasn't just waiting for a ride home. When the man disappeared into the hallway toward the restrooms, Daniel made his move. He walked past the young woman's table slowly, then paused as if checking his phone. Up close, he could see her eyes, red from holding back tears. "Miss," he said gently, "I don't mean to bother you, but you've looked at that exit about 15 times in the last half hour. Are you okay?" She froze. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Then her eyes flicked toward the restroom door. She whispered, I can't leave. He'll find me." Daniel's voice stayed calm. "Do you want to leave?" She hesitated, then gave the tiniest nod. In that instant, Daniel's protective instincts locked in. "All right. I can get you out of here. But you need to follow my lead." He went back to Emily and grabbed his jacket. "Sweetheart," he said with a smile, "we're going to help someone, okay?" She didn't fully understand, but she trusted her dad. Daniel walked back to the woman. "Name?" he asked quietly. "Claire," she said. "All right, Claire. We're a family now. You're my cousin, and you came to dinner with us. If anyone asks, you're leaving with us because you're staying at our place tonight. Got it?" She nodded again, her breath quickening. Daniel placed his hand gently on her shoulder, guiding her toward the exit. Emily walked ahead, holding Claire's hand like they were old friends. The bartender called out, "Hey, she's with me," Daniel interrupted firmly, locking eyes with the man behind the counter. His tone carried the weight of someone who wouldn't be argued with. They made it out into the chilly night air. But just as they were walking toward Daniel's truck, the restaurant door burst open. The man from the bar stormed out. "Claire," he shouted. "Get back here." Claire froze, her face pale. Daniel stepped between them. "She's not going anywhere with you." The man's jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're getting into, buddy." "No," Daniel said, "I know exactly what I'm getting into. And I know she doesn't want to go with you. So back off." The man took a step forward, but Daniel stood firm. Passers-by began to slow down, noticing the confrontation. The man seemed to realize attention was turning toward him. He muttered something under his breath and stalked back inside. Claire exhaled shakily, clutching her small purse to her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel just nodded. "You're safe now. Let's get you somewhere warm." They drove away into the night, but Daniel knew this wasn't the end of her story. He didn't know yet who she was running from, or how deep her trouble went, but he knew one thing. He wasn't going to let her face it alone. The hum of the truck's heater filled the quiet. Claire sat in the passenger seat, staring out at the dark streets of their small Washington town. Emily, in the back seat, hummed softly to herself, clutching her stuffed bunny. "You don't have to tell me anything," Daniel said gently as he drove, "but I need to know if you're in danger tonight." Claire hesitated. I think so." Her voice cracked, and the words tumbled out. She'd met the man, Ryan, just 2 months ago. At first, he was charming, generous, attentive. But slowly, his behavior changed. He started controlling what she wore, who she spoke to, where she went. Tonight, he'd taken her out for drinks, but when she refused to have more than one, he grew tense. She'd felt trapped at that table, every nerve screaming to run, but she knew he was watching. Daniel listened without interrupting. He'd heard stories like this before, but it never got easier. The fear in her voice was the same he'd once heard from a friend who didn't make it out in time. "Do you have family nearby?" he asked. She shook her head. "My parents live in another state. Anne. I can't go home. He knows where I live." Daniel thought for a moment. "All right. You can stay in our guest room tonight. Tomorrow, we'll figure out the rest. But first, I'm calling a friend in the police department, off the record, to let them know what's going on. That way, if he tries to find you." She looked at him in shock. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Daniel glanced at her, then back at the road. "Because I've seen too many people look at the exit, and never make it there." When they arrived at Daniel's modest home, Emily showed Claire the guest room with innocent excitement, like she was hosting a sleepover. Claire smiled for the first time that night. Daniel made tea, and they sat at the kitchen table. Claire's hands were steadier now. "You probably saved my life," she said softly. "I didn't think anyone would notice." Daniel shook his head. "People notice. They just don't always act." The next morning, Claire woke to the smell of pancakes. Emily chattered happily, and Daniel handed Claire a cup of coffee. But their peace didn't last. His phone buzzed. It was his friend from the police, giving him an update. Ryan had been arrested the night before, not long after Daniel drove away, apparently for causing a scene at the restaurant and shoving someone who tried to intervene. The police were also looking into other complaints against him. Claire's eyes filled with tears. I can't believe it's over." Daniel smiled faintly. "It's not over. But it's a start." Over the next week, Claire stayed with Daniel and Emily until she could arrange to move to another city and start fresh. On the morning she left, she hugged Emily tightly, then turned to Daniel. "I'll never forget you," she said. "You gave me more than just a way out. You gave me hope." Daniel nodded. "Just promise me, if you ever see someone looking at the exit, you'll help them too. And that's what kindness is about, It's not just noticing when someone needs help, it's having the courage to step in. If you believe the world needs more people like Daniel, please give this video a like and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Because sometimes, the smallest act of bravery can change someone's entire life.